come on in the room.
Happy Monday.
Come one, come all, come big, come small. Come on in, y'all. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Look, I need a therapy session. Let me just start. Best friends, I need a therapy session. I hope this notification is going far and wide, girl, because I need to talk.
Oh,
can I be transparent?
Go right ahead.
Girl, I need to talk. Oh. So come on in the room. As you guys come in, say hi to me. I'll say hi to you guys. Come in, girl. Come in as you get your notifications. Come in. Hi, Miss Debbie, Miss Alicia. Hey, everybody. Before I get into my hellos, I'm out of order. That's how you know I'm frizzle-frazzled.
You frazzled?
Girl, that's how you know I'm frazzled, girl. I'm out of order. I didn't even say who I was or nothing, girl. I just took it from the top, didn't I? Girl, like we was in choir rehearsal. I took it from here, girl. I took it from the top.
You just go right on in, girl.
Girl, you know. So let me backtrack.
Okay.
For those of you guys who have no idea where you found yourself or who I am Candy Sincerity Johnson.
And I am Sean Johnson.
And together, girl, look, we do a lot of things. That's neither here nor there on tonight's video. We do a whole lot of things for a whole lot of people. If you don't know, ask, I'm sure somebody in the streets will tell you. Somebody will fill you in, okay? But can I be honest, best friends, as you guys get the notification and you come in, I need to talk.
Okay.
We
are here for you.
Girl, I need to talk.
That's what best friends are for. We are here for you.
Are you? Alicia said, girl, I'm praying for you. Girl, I need much prayer on tonight, okay? Because we got to have a conversation. Lisa, Deborah, Letitia, Irma, Paula, my other best friend, Deborah. Hey to everybody who's coming in. Hi to everybody who hasn't even said hi. Hi to my mom, John W. Trump. Hey, everybody. Hey. Listen, as you guys come in, let me just get straight to it, because I know your time is extremely valuable, girl. Let me get straight to it. Shauna, what did we title this video?
I heard my dad's story.
Woo, girl. Woo. Girl, look.
Aww.
I don't know. All I can say is I don't know what's happening to me, around me, through me. Girl, I don't know what is happening. I don't know what is happening. But I must tell y'all what has transpired.
We listening?
So today is Monday.
Today is Monday.
So according to the recording of this video, today is Monday. Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
What happened on Saturday night. So for those of you guys who don't know, Sean has been battling this cold-like thing, right? She got like a respiratory infection, a cold, something like that. So Sean says, hey, you going to Texas in a couple of days. So what I'm going to do tomorrow, right? What I'm going to do is, she says, I'm going to sleep in the guest bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple nights ago, Sean slept in the other room so not to get me sick.
Yeah, I knew she has things to do. So I was like, let me take me and my germs elsewhere.
That's what she said. So best friends, so this particular night, Sean slept in the other room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That leaves moi. That leaves me. Anytime I'm left to my own devices, something usually always happens.
Right.
So let me set the stage. The whole house is asleep. It's late at night, right? Y'all know normally I'm on my laptop computer, I'm getting work done. So as I'm getting work done, my spirit quickened at something like 2:00 in the morning, mm-hmm. which is not uncommon for me because usually at any given time, I could be up until 4. Yeah. I could be up to 3, 4 o'clock. So something says, we'll call it something, okay? For the sake of conversation, we'll call it something, okay? Something said, hey, right? Something said, hey. Something said, you had a conversation with your dad a couple of months back, and it felt like a sneeze. Ooh. And the conversation was recorded. You recorded the conversation. Go back to the recorded conversation and listen Listen to the recorded conversation because there might be something inside of that conversation that's going to help you with your grieving process.
Okay. Wow.
Girl.
See, I thought you did it for a different reason. That's what's up.
Well, so listen. Now, I go back to the conversation. Now, let's start here, best friends. Let's start here. I got a good old okie doke Android. It ain't nothing fancy about this here phone. It ain't nothing fancy about this here phone, okay? My phone is not set up to record phone calls. I have an app on my phone where Sean and I started using this app when we had our insurance office, because what we would do is sometimes we would do insurance and financial services reviews with clients over the phone, and we would send them the recording of the call if it was a business call, right?
Yeah.
Then we started implementing that same thing with my coaching business. If I happened to have taken a call and I was on the road or something like that, if I knew I was going to be moving about, I still did that same thing.
Yeah.
So outside of business, I never use this app. Let me preface it by saying I never record any of my phone calls for any reason as it relates to anything personal.
Yeah.
Right? The day Dad called. So let me take y'all back to the day. The day is December 31st, 2022.
Wow.
We just literally a couple of months away. It's New Year's Eve, okay? For the GED section. It's New Year's Eve, okay? It's New Year's Eve. When Dad called me, he was not calling me. He was trying to reach somebody else who he used to be married to, right? He was trying to reach his ex-wife, whose name sounds kind of similar to mine, right? Let's just say, right? It also starts with a C. Her phone number, according to him in the conversation, was very, very similar to my phone number because he read the number back.
Wow. Okay.
Right? So apparently they were in the middle of a very heated conversation, thus the beginning of the phone call, okay, and how the stage was set,
right?
Which is probably what triggered me to say, okay, let me go ahead and record this conversation because we finna end up down a one-way street and we're gonna go left again. And so just in case the situation get out of sorts, you see what I'm saying? I have whatever, right? Or maybe it was God. However you spin the narrative,
right.
The call got recorded, okay? So a couple of nights ago, out of all the time, it came back to my remembrance that I had this recorded phone call. Now, at the beginning of the call, remember, he wasn't trying to reach me. He was trying to reach her. So I paused because in the middle of him going off and saying what he said blah, 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 comma, her name. So I paused at the beginning of the conversation and was like, Daddy, it's not blank. It's me. It's Candace, right? So he stopped and he paused and was like, oh, baby, I'm so sorry. I was trying to reach
so-and-so.
And then from that point forward, we had our conversation. We stayed on the phone, best friends, and this conversation lasted for every bit of 2.5 hours. Easily.
Yeah.
Okay? We stayed on the phone. We talked about everything from Kendi and Caleb to why him and I stopped talking, to mistakes that he made, to his health. We talked about everything. We talked about business. We talked about entrepreneurship. We talked about my brothers. We talked about everything. Okay? This was the conversation that led up to the weekend that you guys seen where we all went to little Eric's daughter's basketball tournament.
Right.
Remember when they came here and we all met up and we documented that whole process? This was the pivotal conversation that set the stage for all of that. This was the pivotal conversation that set the stage for him and my mom reconciling their friendship and getting back to the point where they were communicating on a regular basis every single day, multiple times a day.
Yeah.
At the end of the conversation, in fact, Dad said how's Lynn doing? How's your mom doing? How, you know, what's going on with your granny? How's your granny doing? He said, when you talk to Lynn, give her my phone number. I'd love to hear from her, thus and so. Like, it was a whole thing. Best friends, let me tell you this. This is going to help somebody. I was sitting on Reddit.
Yeah.
Okay? We always talk about people apologizing and making stuff right. I was sitting on Reddit for the majority of that conversation because of the tone that was set at the very beginning. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So as I listened back to the conversation, 99% of what was said, I listened to, but I didn't hear. You understand the difference? So I was listening to him. I was actively listening to him throughout the whole conversation, but there was so much stuff that was said that he said and he told me in that conversation where I was listening, but I didn't hear. And it's a difference between listening to somebody and hearing them.
Right.
It's a complete difference. So, best friends, let me tell y'all, not even 5 minutes into the conversation, Dad said, so how have you been? I said, I'm okay. I said, how are you? And I'm looking at my computer because I don't want to misquote anything.
Gotcha.
I want to make sure that whatever I say is what was actually said. So I said, well, how are you? He said, your dad has liver failure. I'm dying. Now, let me put a pin right there. Let me put a pin right there. He told me this on December 31st. I didn't know till a couple of days ago. He told me everything I needed to hear. You understand what I'm saying? The reason why I listened to what he said and I didn't hear what he had to say is because Dad had been told years ago, like 10 plus years ago, that he had cirrhosis of the liver. So in my mind, what I heard is not what he said. I thought he was referencing the cirrhosis of the liver. Because my immediate response was, well, Dad, they told you that years ago. Right? And he was just like, yeah, they did tell me that, you know, I had issues with my liver years ago. And then the conversation changed. He quickly went to something else. He was trying to tell me right then and there, but I couldn't hear him. So what it reminded me of, best friends, is it felt like, this is the example I'm gonna give. When I was a little girl, my aunt used to tell me the story about my mom. My aunt is younger than my mom. My mom is a couple years older than her. My aunt used to tell me the story about my mom. When they were little kids, they would ride their bike. And my mom would always fall off her bike and act like she was hurt to get attention. So my uncle, when he was babysitting them, would always run outside thinking she was scraped up and hurt and towed down. And she wouldn't be. And so he yelled at her one day and said, stop crying wolf, stop doing that, because it's going to come a day where you're really hurt. You see what I'm saying? And people are not going to think nothing of it. They're not going to believe you. You understand what I'm saying? And so what I feel like happened was, because we've been listening, we've been hearing this cirrhosis of the liver for all these years, but then you see Dad and he's fine. And it was no correlation between what you were hearing and what you were seeing. And so everybody was like, okay, well, whatever, right? So it was one of those situations where in my mind, what I heard was not what he said. He literally said, when he asked me if I was okay, I said, yeah, I'm okay. I said, are you okay? Yeah. Your dad has liver failure. He literally said that. Your dad has liver failure. I'm dying. And so then the conversation, like I said, then the conversation changed. I said, well, when did you hear, who said that? When did you hear that? He said, the doctor said that a few months ago. He said, Kendrick and the family knew. Didn't they tell you? I said, no, nobody told me anything. And so then he changed the conversation, and the conversation went into something else. Right? I should have kept it there. I should have asked more questions. I should have pried. I didn't. I didn't. That was my end. Right? So y'all, then in my mind, I didn't know that my father had apologized to me for not really being there for me. He did more than apologize during that call. He did everything short of beg for me and my brother's forgiveness. And baby, listen, best friends, I was sitting in that room by myself. I wasn't no good. I wasn't no good. Because I kept playing it over and over and over and over again. And he was like, I'm not a perfect man. And I made my mistakes. And I didn't do right by y'all. And I'm sorry for that. But I realized the errors of my ways. I realized every single thing that I did wrong. And although I can't go back and change any of it, I'm trying to fix it. And I'm trying to show you that I'm not who I used to be. So in the midst of the conversation, best friends, I told him, I said, Daddy, I forgive you. And I release you from all of that. But these are the words that I spoke. I said, you can't hold on to that. That will eat you alive. I said, if you're sick, even if it's cirrhosis of the liver, you can't hold on to regret, all of these things. You can't hold on to that. Yeah. It eats you alive. And I said, so you got to get to the point where I forgive you. But like I told him, but you got to remember, you got 5 sons. This is what I'm saying in the conversation, best friend. You got 5 sons. And men are not always as quick to forgive, especially as they get older and set in their ways and they become fathers and all this other stuff. They're not always as quick to forgive as women are sometimes. So what I'm trying to get you to understand, Daddy, is that whether you get what you're looking for from them or not, you still got to be whole and you still got to be okay. Because as long as you have apologized to people, whether they accept it or not, that's on them. That ain't on you. That's on them. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And what I also said was just make it right with God and everything else will work out. He was like, I hear you, baby, and you're right. Right? So then the conversation goes on. And he says, I'm not trying to make excuses for anything that I did. But here's what I know. He goes on to talk about, this is the reference that he gave, and this is what had me on the floor. I was on the best friends. I was on the floor. I was rolling around. I was crying so hard. I was holding my gut. He said, I'm not a superhero. I don't wear a cape. I'm not a perfect man. And I don't make any excuses about any of my mistakes. He said, when he referenced himself as I'm not a superhero. He said, I'm not Superman. I'm not Batman. I'm not baby. I was done. I was done. Because anybody who knows anything about me and my father's relationship over the past several months, during the time that he was sick, every time that I would walk into his hospital room, I would say 2 things. I would say, hey, Daddy. And he would sit up and he would look. And then I would follow it, best friends. And I would say, hey, Superman. And he would stick his chest out. And he would sit up even taller. And the reason, best friends, that I thought I was doing that, I didn't remember any of this part of the conversation. If it wasn't recorded and I heard his voice and my voice, I would swear it never happened. Because again, through that whole 2.5 hours, I was listening, but I didn't hear him. So I missed that whole thing when he made reference to that. But the reason why I started calling him Superman was because in my mind, from the moment that he got to the hospital and they rushed him into emergency surgery that first night to the moment where he took his last breath, and I was there the night before he died, right? From one day to the last. Every single time I saw him, he seemed like the pain was increasing, not decreasing. It seemed like his body was getting weaker, not stronger. And the doctors, one right after another, right after another, right after another, kept coming in saying, there's nothing we could do. We've done all we can. You're dying. You're going to die. You're going to die. You're going to die. And so in my mind, I just kept seeing this man go from being this giant to he was shrinking before my eyes. So in my mind, best friends, me calling him Superman was, as a daughter, me reminding him of, you're not who they say you are. You understand what I'm saying? I want you to know how I see you. This is how I see you. And I don't care what nobody say, doctor or otherwise. Until you no longer here, and even once you're gone, you're still going to be Superman to me because you created me. Yeah. So in my mind, it was that gentle reminder that, Daddy, you still got it. You still that dude. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? And it had nothing to do, best friends, with what the conversation was. It had nothing to do with that. Or did it? Or did it? It could have been, Sean just said it could have been a subconscious thing. When I heard him say that, I'm telling, it was that. I literally had to rewind that part back, and I played it about 5 times. And I sat there and I was just like, and by the time I came to, I was on the floor. I was on the floor. The whole house was quiet and asleep. I was on the floor. I couldn't even speak. So then it was so many nuggets dropped throughout this conversation. Then he goes on, we talking, and he said, I've always had to have my guard up. I've always felt like something was going to happen. He said, I've been trying not to get anyone else involved. I've been trying to get myself together and just get through this. Because I thought everything was normal. And I thought everything was okay until I realized it wasn't. What we talking about? What we talking about? What we talking about? What we talking about? I didn't ask the questions because I was too busy listening and not hearing. I didn't ask the questions. Then he goes on to say later in the conversation, he said, a man has to have a reason for living. It's like when you hear about that couple where one spouse dies and then shortly thereafter, another spouse dies. He said, or like a flower, right? He was like, if you got a flower, that flower needs sunlight and that flower needs water in order to survive. If you deprive that flower from any of the above, then that flower is gone. He was like, it'll eventually die. He said, when it comes to a man or when it comes to a woman, just a human in general, you have to find something in this world that means more to you than you mean to yourself. He paused and he said, I'm missing that, Candace. He said, I'm missing that, Candace. Now, as I listen to the conversation again, a part of me wanted to take it personal, right? Because when I think about what means more to me than I mean to myself, the first thing that comes to mind is Kennedy and Caleb.
Your babies.
Right? But, and I'm not trying to speak for him, right? He's no longer here. What I think Dad was getting to was the fact it's like all of y'all are grown. You understand what I'm saying? You all living life on your own terms. Everybody is doing their thing. Mm-hmm. You know, at the time I was 39, I'm 40 now. You know, Eric is 42. You know, now I'm 40. You know, everybody else is in their 30s. And then you got Jordan, who's the baby, who's like 23, 24. Mm-hmm. Everybody grown. So I think, I don't know. Part of me feels like, well, damn. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, you know, what are we? But I don't take it like that. I think he was just looking like, yeah, I don't have nobody. Like,
mm-hmm. All the bridges have been burned.
But best friends, what I feel like happened is it was the moment where he was in the hospital bed. And the one and only time where we were all together. Mm-hmm. You know, Aunt Lisa and Uncle Tim were instrumental in getting everybody together around his bedside. I think it was that moment where he realized, I do. Mm-hmm. But it was too late. It was too late. Because I specifically remember asking him in the conversation when he was talking about his health. I said, well, Dad, well, what about, I said, well, if the doctor said that, I said, you know, have you stopped drinking? And he said, I have slowed down significantly. And I asked him something about, would you stop? And he said, the damage is already done. The damage is already done. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, best friend, for the stars. Thank you very much for the stars. But it was so much, it was so much in that conversation. Like, yeah, it was a lot. What you got?
Ms. Darnice was asking if you could repeat that one more time. What your dad said, you have to find something in the world.
He said a man has to have a reason for living. He said it's like when you hear about that couple where one spouse dies and then shortly thereafter the other spouse dies. He said, or like a flower, even more basic, like a flower too, right? He said a flower needs sunlight and water in order to survive. And so essentially, if you deprive that flower of one of the above, it's going to eventually die. And so he said, you have to find something in the world that means more to you than you mean to yourself. And he said, I'm missing that, Candace. I'm missing that, Candace. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Jamie said all his babies are grown, so he had no one left that he felt dependent on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 So, you know, I don't know. I think for me, you know, this journey over the past several months has been a whirlwind. You know, for those of you guys who have been following us and you know, my younger brother Jordan is coming to live with us. Tomorrow morning, I'll be flying to Dallas. I'm going to be with Ariel. We got some business that we are taking care of, and you know, you guys will see me live and doing different things down there. But in addition to that, in addition to, you know, some projects and some things that we're working on behind the scenes, once I get home from my trip to Texas, I'll be back here for a while, for a couple of days, maybe a week or so. And then Sean and I will be going to Tennessee to get Jordan. But to look at how quickly everything happened. Sean and I thought this conversation with Dad was back in November.
Mm-hmm, I did.
It took me digging up the call to find out, no, sis, this was December 31st. This was New Year's Eve.
Less than 2 months.
So in less than 2 months, well, 3, well, it's the end of March.
Well, I'm saying, but when he passed.
Yeah. So from that point to, we getting together, going to the tournament, to he was en route going back home to Tennessee when he got sick and ended up at the hospital in Southern Illinois, to passing away less than a month after being there. And then now my younger brother coming to live with us. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. It's been a lot in a short amount of time. It's been a lot. It's insane, because this thing called life is very interesting, this journey, because every day is a journey, right? So you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but you hear a conversation different when the storyline has completely played out, and then you go back and listen to what you didn't know when you didn't know it. You see what I'm saying? You hear it different. You hear it different. But I don't know. Like, one of the things that I'm grateful for is that I documented every step of the process, because it's the pictures of him in my phone, even the pictures of him in his hospital bed. It's the videos that we did, the reels and stuff that we did up at the hospital with me and my brothers. It's the pictures that Aunt Lisa made us take when we were all looking like, oh God, everybody got to stand up again. Everybody got to say cheese. You see what I'm saying? But it's those memories that she was drilling in our head. Like, you're going to thank me one day. You can't see it today, but you're going to thank me one day. I'm thanking her today. The day has come. I'm thanking you, right? Because it's those pictures that when nobody's talking, or when I'm sitting by myself, or I'm just sitting, even out waiting on, the truck to get an oil change or something like that, and I'm sitting there scrolling through my phone, that's what gets me through the day. So I know, like, my family, when it comes to when I say my family, I mean my dad's side and my mom's side, but specifically when I'm saying this, I'm talking about my mom's side. They don't like being in front of the camera. They don't like me putting my camera in everybody's face. They don't like me taking pictures of everything. But best friend, y'all might as well stay away from me. Everybody might as well stay away from me, because from this day forward, I'm documenting everything. Because you don't know.
You never know.
I'm not saying I'm posting everything, but I'm documenting everything. Girl, I was at my granny house the other day. You weren't there with me. Girl, me and the kids went over Granny house, and I had took some caramel cake over there. And I was asking Granny what she thought about the caramel cake. Granny was sitting there at the table with her wig off. She had just got out of church. Granny was sitting at the table with her wig off, with her feet up under the dining room table, eating her caramel cake. She was sitting there with her wig cap on, because she had went and put that wig upstairs on the nightstand, and she was sitting at the table with me and the kids, and she was eating her caramel cake. Mm-hmm. And I was asking Granny, what you think about the caramel cake? And girl, I had that phone up like that. I said, girl, I was acting like I was texting somebody. What you think about the caramel cake? I was recording Granny. And it had nothing to do with the caramel cake, and everything to do with the memory. Yeah. It had nothing to do with the caramel cake or the wig cap. It had everything to do with the memory. Because there may come a day where she can't comment about the caramel cake, or she don't remember about the caramel cake. But yeah, I'm not cutting the phone off, y'all. I don't know. So, best friends, let me say this. I'm apologizing now, because in order for me to save this footage, I mean, not footage, but in order for me to save this audio, I have to put it somewhere, because the app that I have it in is temporary. So I asked Sean, and a part of it is for my healing, and a part of it is for my documentation of my journey. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of aspects of this conversation, or a lot of aspects of the conversation, that are private, that I won't release, that I'll do something else with. But I'm going to create reels, or we're going to create reels with certain parts of this conversation, because although it's kind of for my healing, I feel like it will help you guys in some of your relationships with people.
That's true.
Because there's people who you need to get stuff right with, or whatever, and you still have time. Or it might just be life lessons.
Yeah.
Cause baby daddy was good for dropping game on folks.
I was about to say he was he had some wisdom.
Girl, he was good for dropping game on folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was good. He was good about just sharing information. He was very, very, very intelligent. Very intelligent. Yeah. So, y'all gonna be seeing reels over the next couple of days. Y'all gonna be like, girl, I get it. But I'm telling you, just bear with me, best friend, because at least that way, by me creating that and putting it together that way, it's saving the audio. It's giving me a visual as well. And it's something that's going to pop up in my memories. That's the key. It's going to continuously pop up in my memories. But baby, y'all, I wish, so we got cameras in every other part of the house. In our room, ain't no cameras for obvious reasons. Okay? But girl, if it was beautiful being footage, that you could have rolled back
to see you. Oh.
Girl. Y'all know how Patti LaBelle was on stage? You know how her and Levert and Fantasia, when they get to that certain part of the concert, they kick their shoes off and they be rolling around?
Yes.
Girl, my roll wasn't sexy like that. Girl, my roll. I couldn't even imagine.
Ready?
No, girl. I don't even think I rolled, girl. I just was laid. Look, what they call it, prostate. Girl, I was just out. Girl, cold, girl. Like somebody had hit me over the head with a skillet. Girl, I just was out on the floor, girl.
Oh.
Yeah. Mama said, rest in heaven. Duncan Eric Johnson. Yeah. Best friends, let me tell y'all this part. At the end of the call, I told Daddy, I said, Daddy, I gotta go. I said, I've been on the phone with you almost 3 hours. I said, maybe I said 2 hours. I said, over 2 hours, almost 3 hours, something like that, I said. I said, Daddy, I gotta go. I said, the kids done came in here and asked me what we eating. Because it was, I think, a Sunday or something like that. But the kids that came in the room and asked me like 3 or 4 times, what we eating? I'm hungry. So Daddy said, Candy, when you talk to Lynn, give her my number. Tell her to call me. This, that, and the third. Best friends, is this a safe space? I didn't get her his number like that. All I did was, now I was supposed to carry the bone back. Daddy wanted me to carry the bone back that he wanted her to call him. I didn't do that. I said, Mom, I talked to Daddy. Daddy said hi. Mama said, oh, tell him I said hi. How is he doing? And so I was like, he's doing all right. He said he's sick and this and that. And so sick could mean, girl, the flu, a cold, girl, migraines, itchy scalp, sweaty feet. It could mean anything. You see what I'm saying? Mama responded and said, you know what? Send me his number. Yeah. I want to wish him a happy new year. That's how that jumped off. They hadn't talked like that in about 30-something years. You know what I mean? They were cordial towards each other, like, hey, how you doing? Whatever. But they hadn't talked like that in like 30-something years. He was very intentional about needing and wanting to talk to her. She was very intentional about needing and wanting to talk to him. Once the two of them got on the phone, the conversation never stopped until he couldn't talk no more and was in the hospital. He was talking to her all day, every day when she wasn't at work. They was up at night like two little kids, cackling and laughing and playing on the phone, to the point where Daddy would be like, you gotta go to bed. Why you gotta go to work? You need to retire. You need to do this and that. You know, he just wanted more time. And so she was very instrumental in making him comfortable. That weekend we all got together at the basketball game because I don't think he like felt like we were going, like, I don't know what he thought.
Right.
But I guess it would be, you know, uncomfortable. He hadn't seen little Eric since he was a little boy. Little Eric was 41. He 42 now. You know what I'm saying? He hadn't seen me since I was, you know, what, early 20s?
Yeah.
Early 20s, you know? And, you know, I was 39. I'm 40 now. So I would imagine there would be anxiety there. I would imagine he was uneasy. So mama came in and was not only that good friend, but she was like that blanket. Mm-hmm. Right? Sean, when I used to go to, and I tell y'all this story before, when I used to go to Tennessee, Sean was my blanket. She was my blanket. I wouldn't have went. Girl, I would have got halfway down there and been like, yeah, I can't do it. Find somebody else to do it. Get somebody else to do it. Girl, my anxiety would have kicked in. Girl, I would have been like, girl, I can't do it. Girl, my gut. Girl, my stomach. Girl, I'm nervous. And I'm trembling. Waiting for you to... you know. Y'all know the rest. Y'all know the rest. You been there. You know what I'm saying? Girl, I would have been a mess. You know, but I would have missed out on... Because back in 2009 is when I met my brothers. Mm-hmm. I would have missed out on meeting Kendrick and meeting Tamayas and meeting Deontay and meeting Jordan. I would have missed out on that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So everybody need a blanket through tough times. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs somebody to help them get through tough times. But y'all, we got to get to the point where we hear people, and we're not just listening. We're not just listening.
Y'all, I was gonna say that's the biggest takeaway I think from this whole thing for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. We gotta get to the point where we're hearing people, and we're not just listening. You know, girl, dad was trying to make it right. He was trying to make it right. And although he said you have to find something in the world that means more to you than you mean to yourself, and I'm missing that, Candace. Although he said that, again, best friend, I'm thinking it's because he was looking like all my kids are grown. Because if we weren't his number one priority, as sick as he was when he came here, it wouldn't have been that important for him to make the journey. Yeah. When he came here, his first stop was Aunt Lisa's house. Mm. He went to see his sister. Mm-hmm. That's his sister. It was always the two of them. They was like this. Mm-hmm. He stopped by to see Aunt Lisa. Then he left Aunt Lisa's house and he went over to see Grandma. Mm-hmm. And they sat at the table and talked. And then, you know, he came by Mama and them house. Remember? Yep. He came by my granny and them house. Then after he left there, girl, then that's when, you know, the next day he met us at the tournament. And then he came back the second day of the tournament. Mm-hmm. He came to the tournament Saturday, then he came back Sunday. And then Sunday after the tournament was Monday when he was on his way back to Tennessee and got sick and got rushed to the hospital. And he had, Monday, when I got to the hospital in Champaign on that Monday, he was in excruciating pain. His stomach has swollen up. And the doctors rushed in and said, we got to rush him to surgery. His stomach is filling with blood. His liver is just oozing blood. We got to go in and plug it up like a sponge. So the doctor immediately says, Mr. Johnson, if something were to happen to you in surgery, do you want us to revive you or what do you want? Mm-hmm. Dad looked at me and I said, Daddy, I said, I can't answer this question for you. You have to answer the question. Dad said, is it that serious? Mm-hmm. The doctor said, it is, because this is a life-saving procedure. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, best friends, I'm on the phone with Grandma. Grandma's in Arizona with Brandon. Now y'all know who Brandon is. Grandma, Aunt Lisa, all of them were in Arizona with Brandon. They working to hurry up and cut their trip short and get back home. Right? Because now Dad is real sick. Mm-hmm. So I was up there with him and it was just the two of us. Mm-hmm. Daddy was so scared. Every time my phone rang, I had to step out in the hallway because in the room that they had him in, the reception was so bad. I couldn't hear what the person was saying. Mm-hmm. I had to step out in the hall. He kept saying, don't leave. Can you stay? Don't leave. He was afraid. He was afraid and he was alone. He was afraid and he was alone. And I kept saying, Daddy, I'm not going to leave. When they take you to surgery, I'm going to be there. Mm-hmm. And I was. Now, best friends, here's the thing. Sean and I have joked about it. But y'all, I'm scared of hospitals. I'm scared of hospitals, and I'm scared of hospitals at night.
Even worse than that.
You see what I'm saying? So when they rushed Daddy to surgery, they let me go downstairs with them. Mm-hmm. Right? So I go downstairs, I'm holding his hand, I'm kissing his forehead, I'm rubbing his back, I'm all of this stuff, right? So I'm looking at the doctor like, shoot, I'm outside the room. I'm like, can I go in there with y'all? Can I sit in the corner? Where am I supposed to be?
In the operating room?
Girl, the whole level was just quiet and still. Because remember, best friends, they only take people to the operating room in extreme emergencies in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So this whole surgical floor was just dead. I'm talking about it wasn't a soul stirring. It wasn't a creature stirring. Not even a mouse. Okay. And y'all know when you are in like corporations or whatever, y'all probably see it down at your job. When you don't go in a certain area, the lights cut off.
Yeah, it get dark.
And it get dark.
Mm-hmm.
So the man said, we got a waiting room over here. I'm going to walk you over to the waiting room. You go over there. I said, okay. He said, it's TVs. You know, sometime during the day they have refreshments, but I don't know what they got over there. Girl, I walked in there. It was pitch black. So me and him walking over there, woke up the light. So then my brother Kendrick called. And I'm telling KJ, they got Daddy in surgery. And he was like, okay. So I'm on the phone with Kendrick. But now I'm sitting in one of the waiting room chairs. Girl, the lights
I'm about to say, the lights go off.
The lights went off. The lights went off. And at the same time the lights went off, it's a trauma hospital. I could hear the helicopters swoop down, girl. It was like, like you heard that. I'm looking like, girl, I'm sitting there. Then all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I'm on the phone with Kendrick, but I'm on my phone, but I got my earbuds in my ears, right? And I can hear the helicopters. So I get up and I go walk to the window and I'm looking up out the window like this. Girl, I'm looking up and then I said, that's a helicopter. Then I look out the corner of my eye. Girl, it's a little middle-aged lady. But she don't look like she got all her scruples. She don't look like she got all her scruples. So the lady walked over to me in like a frenzy. And she was like, but she was quiet moving because she was, you know, a tiny little thing. She was quiet moving. So I jumped. I said, wait. You know, she said, I'm sorry to startle you. She said, I'm trying to get to the emergency room. I said, well, it ain't down here. She said, I'm trying to get to the emergency room. They just brought my mom in and they just airlifted my mom. I said, well, she's not down here. I don't know where she at. She said, well, how do you get back to the emergency room? I don't know. Girl, I had an attitude. I said, I don't know. She said, well, you don't know where the emergency room is? So then I started to get nervous because then this man came. So he must have been with the lady. So then he came walking toward. So I'm on the phone with Kendrick. I was like, uh-oh. So Kendrick now keep in mind, we in Illinois, KJ in Tennessee. What he gonna do?
She would put herself in a whole horror movie for no reason.
So in my mind, I'm like, is this a setup? Because now they know I don't know where I'm at. You see what I'm saying? Girl, how we get here on this part of the subject? But I said all that to say, girl, love trumps all fears. You understand what I'm saying? Girl, I could talk a good game. But when I say I must love my daddy, girl, I was sitting down. Y'all, so to the average person, it ain't that deep. You see what I'm saying? It ain't that deep to the average person. But girl, I was sitting down at the hospital by myself.
In the dark.
For my daddy, okay? In the dark for my daddy, okay? Girl, I told him, I said, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here. Girl, I'm going to be here. And I was.
You were.
And I was.
Every step of the way.
And then that night I came back home. And then early that next morning, my grandma called. She had made her way all the way back from Arizona. Mm-hmm. She had flew back. My grandma said, Candy, you going back down there to see your dad? And so I took her back down there to see dad, to be with daddy. So when I got to her house, she had her bags packed. Mm-hmm. She had her bags packed. Grandma didn't know what was going on besides the fact that her oldest child was sick. Mm-hmm. She didn't know how bad it was, and she didn't know what she was in for. Grandma had immediately got off that flight, and she showered and got herself together and got a little nap and put some clothes in the bag. And she got in the car with me, and we went to Champaign. When we walked in the door, she went to one side of his bed, and I was on the other side of his bed. We started fluffing up pillows. We pulled the covers back. We adjusting his gown. We pulling at the sheets. We cleaning up the room. Put the call light on. We, checking to see, okay, can you have the doctors come in? We need to speak with the nurse on duty. Go ahead and have one of the techs come in and change his sheets. He needs a bath and all this other stuff. Girl, daddy just a spoiled. Grandma said, she called him Duncan. She don't call him Eric. Duncan, are you comfortable in that gown? So, girl, daddy spoiled. So, not really, mom. So, long story short, me and grandma go over to Walmart. But we getting pajama pants, underoos, girl. We getting t-shirts, socks. Girl, he's sitting up there looking like Big Daddy Kane. Okay, in the bed. He always was fly. You understand what I'm saying? We get him together. From that day to the day he closed his eyes, my grandma never left. Mm-hmm. She never left.
2.5 weeks.
She never left. Mm-hmm. Sleeping on pull-out couches in the room. Sleeping in chairs. Eating out of cafeterias. Fast food restaurants around the hospital. She's 74 years old. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? She never left. She never left. They have what's called a guest house across the street that's owned by the hospital, where it's designated for the family members of the most critical patients in the hospital. She qualified, based on my father's medical status, for a room at the guest house. But it was so many people in such critical condition, the guest house was full for most nights. Mm. It didn't bother her. She was right there. But
a mother's love, honey.
Baby, a mother's love. Mm. A mother's love. A mother's love. But I'm telling y'all, so much happened. And so when you think back on all of what happened, and you take what you know now, and you listen to the conversation, it hit different. It hit different. It hit different. So him saying, I'm missing that. he wasn't missing it. He wasn't missing it. But I feel like by the time he realized he wasn't missing something to live for or something that he loved more than himself, by the time he realized that the damage was done because he was fighting the fight. But now it makes sense as to why he was holding on so tight at the end. He wanted more time. But he loved his family so much to the point where even if more time meant more pain, would you stay if the only way you could stay required more pain? If more time meant more pain, would you stay? Would you stay? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You know, it depends on the person.
Yeah.
It depends on the person. But yeah. Yeah. So I told Jordan there was a part of the conversation where Daddy said, I love all my kids. I love each and every one of you guys, and I love you all the same. He said, but I have to show you love in different ways. The way one child responds is different than how another one of my babies will respond. He said, take Jordan, for example. He said, Candy, Jordan is our baby. Jordan is my baby. He said, everybody know Jordan. Jordan got to take life on its own terms. Jordan got to live life on his own terms. He said, Jordan, I would say, Candy. No, he said Candace. He don't call me Candy. He called me Candace. He said, I would say, Candace, Jordan's mind move a mile a minute faster than his body. He said, you just gotta take Jordan as you take Jordan. He said, Jordan is just that kind of dude. He said, Jordan is super, super smart, but his mind moves a million times faster than his body.
Wow.
So I told Sean and I told Jordan, I said, Jordan came up to me at the end of the services, and Jordan said, this was before we even knew that he was coming to live with us. Jordan said, Sissy, can I have that big poster board of Dad in his military uniform? And I said, well, Jordan, I can't say yes or no. I said, because Aunt Lisa and Grandma paid for that picture. I said, so you got to talk to them about it. Some kind of way, best friends, I'm sitting here looking at the picture. Can you bring the picture? I'm sitting here looking at the picture.
Your aunt gave me both of them.
So I'm sitting here looking at the picture. The picture is from the services. So until Jordan move in, the picture is just sitting over here. So every time we talk about Dad, this is the picture, okay?
Look at this face, y'all. Look at this face.
Look at this sexy chocolate man. Girl, look at this man.
Look at this face on her. That's a mess. Look at this. Wait till y'all see Jordan.
Yeah.
Girl.
Yeah.
This man's face is on these people.
Oh, let me pull up the picture of Jordan. So I told Jordan, I said, you gotta go talk to Grandma and Aunt Lisa about, if you can have, this is Jordan, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Look at this man's face on that baby. It's a mess. He spit these children out.
Yeah.
The mamas was just carriers.
What you say? The mamas was. So I told Jordan. So y'all best friends. I told Jordan. I said, you gotta talk to. Look who just texted me,
Baby.
Look, girl. what is God doing?
Look at G-Pal. Fine, baby.
Look.
You're like my mama when it comes to my daddy. Y'all is a mess.
What Jordan say?
What him say? What him say?
What he say?
Oh, I love you, sissy.
Just out of nowhere.
I'm so sweet.
He is. He literally just messaged me and said, I love you, sis. He don't even know we live. He ain't even see. I don't think he's ever seen any of our videos. But
does he even have social media like that?
Well, I know he definitely have Facebook, but he don't be.
Oh,
I don't think he follow our page though. But anyway, so Jordan was asking for that picture from the services. So I said, well, you gotta talk to Aunt Lisa and Grandma. You know, I can't say yay or nay.
Right.
So some kind of way, I ended up the pictures ended up with us coming back to Illinois. So Aunt Lisa told me, hey, just keep the pictures, right? So when we realized that Jordan was gonna be moving in with us, I told Sean, I said, oh, well, baby, give his picture. Yeah. We call him baby because he's the baby, right? So I said, baby, give his picture. Jordan could put that big poster board in his room, girl. And so I told Sean, I want to take that clip of what Dad said about Jordan and make a reel out of that, too. We got so many reels coming from this conversation, but at least Jordan will have Dad's voice, you know, and him referencing him, talking about him. Yeah. So, yeah. When I told Jordan that, I was like, we got a little video clip for you, a little reel or whatever that we're going to do. And I said, it was a conversation I had with Dad where he was talking about you. He was like, Sissy, you trying to make me cry?
Oh, girl, you said that to him, he gonna fall out.
Girl, yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah. But I'm super excited, y'all. I'm super, super, super excited about Jordan coming to be with us. I think I need him more than he need me. So, yeah. Yeah.
It'll give us a taste of what it's going to be like when Caleb becomes grown.
Yeah. For real. For real in real life. Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's going to be an exciting time. And, you know, I think, because you guys know Jordan has a very rare brain disease that he was diagnosed with when he was 18. So I think it's going to be good, too, because he's going to get access to some of the top doctors in Chicago. So I think, you know, that'll be beneficial for him, too. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, that'll be what's up.
Yeah. Yeah. What else you got?
Juanita said, best friend, all of you look like your dad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I talked to KJ earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I talked to KJ earlier. Good. Yeah. He pretty much was like, you got to come to Clarksville.
Oh, when you go down to Jordan?
I said, boy.
I drove 7 hours. You can drive the other 2.
Right.
Okay. Just
He was like, send me the dates. I got to see if I'm available. Yeah. So, yeah, but we love you guys, best friends. I know you guys, you know, you probably have a busy night. I had to share that. Girl, I had to. Thank y'all for listening to my love. Girl, yeah, girl. This is the people down at the hospital called and said, do you need bereavement?
Grief counseling.
Yeah, what they call it?
Grief counseling.
What they call it again?
Call it bereavement counseling.
What they call it again?
Grief counseling.
Grief counseling. Yeah. The lady called me when I was walking in to do my speaking engagement on Illinois State campus the other day. She called me and she said, are you in need of grief counseling? I told her, I said, girl, I got best friends for that, girl. I just tell them, girl, and then when they get tired of listening, girl, they just log off. They log off and call me back, girl. But we good on that. And she probably was like, what do you mean? Girl, I got best friends for that. But yeah. So I told her, I said no. Yeah.
Too funny.
But yeah, y'all just make sure y'all like the reels and y'all feel anything for your homegirl, girl. When them reels roll around starting tomorrow, girl. At least y'all have the backstory about where they came from and what's going on. Because y'all gonna be like, what?
What is happening?
Yeah. Yeah. But y'all be able to follow the conversation. And so as you guys start to listen, you're gonna be like,
yeah. I haven't even heard it because I was in the room for like maybe 1/10 of the conversation. Then I left because I was like, let me let her have her time with her dad. So I don't know what's in this conversation either. So a lot of this stuff is going to be my first time hearing it, just like you guys. So.
Yeah. But it's like, it's different when you know how the story ends. Ooh, and you hear it back. Wow.
Yeah.
So.
James says your grief counseling is free with the best friends.
Come on, free grief counseling. What I call it, bereavement counseling?
Bereavement counseling.
Bereavement therapy, bereavement counseling, girl. Y'all know what I mean. Yep, girl. But anyway, best friends. I'll call y'all tomorrow. I'll call y'all either. I'm gonna call y'all at some point tomorrow. I might call y'all a couple of times because I gotta leave here and go to the airport at 4 in the morning.
Super early.
My flight leave at 7. I land at 9. So, girl, y'all make sure y'all notifications are on. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. But I'll be calling y'all tomorrow. I love you guys. Have an amazing night. And as we always say, what?
The absolute best is yet to come. But, baby, she got some packing to do.
Girl, packing joggers. Good night.